Did you know that the advice that you give to another is so weighty? In fact, the advice you give to another is almost like you did the advice, good or bad. That tells you that as a parent, you need to think very carefully about what you tell your children to do. Let's take a look at Second Chronicles chapter 21. In Second Chronicles 21, we have a good king, Jehoshaphat. He's made a lot of good decisions in his life, some a little shaky, but a lot of good ones. But he has a son, a firstborn son named Jehoram, and he wants his son to have a solid kingdom. And so he says, "Son, I want you to get an alliance with the northern kingdom, Israel. And so why don't you go and marry Athaliah?" Now, she has a few things going against her. Namely, her mother is Jezebel, and her dad is Ahab. But other than that, she seems like a great girl. And the big thing is, you have this big nation coming, with you because your wife is, Athaliah. What could happen? Then he spreads his sons throughout the kingdom of Judah so that when Jehoram becomes king, they're not a threat to him. He's very wise. Rehoboam did that too. Jehoshaphat dies. Jehoram becomes king. He strengthens himself. And then, immediately, he finds all his brothers and kills them. Why? Because Athaliah was his wife. This was horrible advice that Jehoshaphat gave to his son. He arranged the marriage. And he's as guilty as his son for the consequences. When you give advice, don't just talk. Pray. Ask the Lord for advice, because it's as if you're going to do these things. We are on the hook for the things that we say to people. How does the story play out? Well, Jehoram is king at 32 years old. In 8 years, he's dead. 2 years before his death, he gets a letter from Elijah, who, by the way, was dead. So this letter was written before he even died as a prophecy, and the letter is delivered to him and comes to him, and it says, "You have built high places for false gods." This is the first of the Judean kings to ever do this. He had broken some boundaries. And he says, and because of this, God is going to kill you. And the way he's going to do it is slowly. He's going to make your intestines, all that junk in there, come out of you over a 2-year period. And for the last 2 years of his life, that's exactly what happened. He died a very painful, horrible death. But before he died, he saw all of his sons but one and many of his wives die. Why did this whole thing go so bad? Bad advice. And so today, as you speak to people, as they ask you questions, immediately let your first thought go to, "Lord, help me not to speak unless I have an answer from you." Because if you give them good advice, praise be the Lord. But if you give them bad advice, you are on the hook. Let's pray today for the words that come out of our mouths.